Alright, today we're going to talk about the box model. The box model applies to all elements of a page, whether it be paragraphs, tables, cells, divs, and essentially what you have is the innermost layer of the box is the content. This is the let's look at borders, paddings, and margins here. And then you have a border in green all the way around that content. In between the content and the border there is some padding so that the content isn't right up against the border. And then around the border is a margin so that it is not right up against the edges of the website. In some cases you might want it to be, but in other cases you don't. So we're going to look at some code today to see how to create different aspects of this. So if we look down here, this first paragraph is a paragraph that doesn't have any border, margin, or padding. So the paragraph is right up against the div or the paragraph has a light blue background so we can see it. So you can see what the content would be. It goes all the way from the left to the right of the web page, and the words are right up against the edges of that. So if we look at our code here, this is a paragraph with no boarding. It had border, margin, or padding. It doesn't have a class. So this next paragraph we're going to add a class so that it has a border. If I come over here and look in my CSS, I have a class border that's going to give me a 10px solid green border. So I'm going to put this class in here. So class equals border, and save that. And then if I go back to my website and refresh, now you see the difference here between the one with no border, margin, or padding. This next paragraph has a green border all the way around it. But the words are still smushed up against the edges of that. So what we might want to do is add some padding so that the words aren't right up against the border. So go back to my code. So this next paragraph, I'm going to add paragraph with padding and border. So if I come over here to my left, I can see this class here that has the same border, 10px green solid, but now we have this padding of 2em, and we'll talk about what the different sizes is a little bit later, but this is going to be class equal to pad, and save that. And when I come back here and refresh, so this now has some padding between the paragraph and the edges of the box. So it's 2 EMs, which is about the width of one lowercase m, all the way around. It's got more on the right side because my paragraph doesn't go all the way and I have left aligned. So that's what it looks like with padding. Now if I want it to be up here like this heading where the border doesn't go all the way to the left and right, then I need to add a margin. So if I go back to my code, this next paragraph I'm going to have padding, border, and margin. So if I come down here to my CSS, I'm going to add the same border, the same padding, but now I'm going to add a margin of 10 pixels. So I'll come here and make a class equals margin. Save that and go back to my website, refresh. And now you can see that there's a little bit of margin all the way around the paragraph. And I can increase that if I wanted it to be more, but I just wanted to show you. So this next paragraph, we want to have a top and bottom border and not the left and the right. So if I come down here to my next class, I have a border TB. So this is going to be a border top, border bottom. They're going to have the same pattern and the same margin. So you can have a border top, border bottom, border right, border left, the same thing with the pattern and the margin. If you just specify padding or margin or border and one thing, it's going to give the same padding, margin, or border around the whole box. But if you just want it on the top or the right or the left or whatever it is, then you need to specify individually. So here I'm specifying a green solid border on the top and a red solid border on the bottom. So come back here and change this class equal to border TB. Save that and come back here to look at it, and now you see the paragraph looks the same as far as the margins and the padding, but the border, I have a green border on the top, a red border on the bottom, and no borders on the left or the right. Alright, so I said that you can specify the border or the padding or the margin by giving it, one size, and that's going to give the same size on all four sides of the box. Okay, if you want a different size, let's say in this case a different margin on each of the four sides of the box, you can specify it this way. So you have margin 25 px, 50 px, 100 px, and 150 px. And if you do this, if you have four values for the margin or the padding or the border, the first value is going to give you the, in this case, the margin for the top. The second one's going to be the margin for the right, the third the margin for the bottom, and the fourth the margin for the left. So let's look at this. So this is going to be class equals margins 4, and we'll save that. Okay, so if we start with the smallest margin on the top, and it gets bigger as we go to the right, bottom, and left. And if we go to the refresh, and oops, so we start with the smallest border here, it gets our margin, it gets a little bigger, and a little even bigger on the left. So that's what it looks like with 4 different margins. This next paragraph I'm going to only put in 3 different margins. So if we look here at what that CSS code would be, I have the same border, the same pattern, but now I have just 3 values for margin. If you do that, what you're specifying is the first value is the margin on the top, the second value is the margin for the right and the left, you're assuming it's going to be the same in this case, and the third is the margin on the bottom. So the top, right, and left, and then the bottom. So here we'll do class equals margins 3, margins 3, save that, go back and let's look at what that looks like. Okay, so the top is 25, the bottom is 100, and the left and the right were 50. Okay, so you can see how that's a different left margin than it was up there. It's a little hard, I guess, to see the top and the right, top and the bottom. And then if you only specify 2 margins, you're going to specify the top and the right, the top and the bottom, and then the left and the right. So if I come here, in this case I've only specified 25 and 100 px. So the first value is the margin for the top and the bottom, and the second value is the margin for the left and the right. So if I come here and put class equals margins 2 and save that and go back to my file, and now the top and the bottom and the right and the left are going to, the top and the bottom would be the same, and the right and the left would be the same. Again, you can change any of these, the pattern, the border, and the margin, but this would be what the box model looks like in CSS.